Hello, and welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it, If There's Such Thing as Self-Sabotage. Well, this is a topic that is dear to me because I know how this caused a lot of suffering, and it did cause a lot of suffering for me as well, and then through life experience, if you want to call it that way, I realized how deceiving that concept was. You see, when you believe you're a separate entity and you believe that you have freedom of choice and you believe that you have willpower and that you can do or whatever, these concepts can be very, I don't know what word could I use, but I was going to say disturbing or frustrating, because it makes you feel like a failure if you don't feel like you don't have the power or the stamina to pursue what you think you want to pursue in order to be happy or be fulfilled. Well, this dream is a distraction to the fact that we are. See, we cannot deny the fact that we exist, and this is what these videos are pointing always to. However, I'm addressing, issues like this so you see how we can begin to dismantle the concept or the beliefs that we have taught. So once again, we can experience the peace, the joy, the happiness, the love that is underneath, okay, which is the background. So what happens is that all of a sudden the mind begins to come up with concepts as to what is it that is going to make this character happy. So if I have a lot of money, I'll be happy. If I chase particular dreams, I'll be happy. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. This is not about making any judgment of that. I'm just pointing to something here. So of course, life gave me a lot of talents and the abilities to make all those things happen. Yet, and interestingly enough, it was frustrating for me because, I know how to make money, but I did not have the energy or the desire to pursue whatever I had to do in order to make it. While I got friends of mine or people who supposedly are doing well in that sense, and they're telling you should do this, you should do that. And then when I could not have the energy to pursue that, I found myself feeling frustrated, and that's when the mind comes into, well, we got to find out what's going on. You're self-sabotaging yourself. Maybe it's because you are not addressing some unconscious issues or whatever. And I did do all that stuff. I try to address unconscious issues. I did all those things. And no matter what I did, I could not do anything in order to pursue what I thought I had to do in order to get or become or whatever. So what I'm finding out is that life is trying to lead you through the path of least resistance so you can experience the peace that you are right now, and whatever is needed in life will be provided, given the fact that it's not what you are imposing upon it. So it's not about trying to make money or becoming successful or whatever, because these concepts are usually comparisons. You see, why do I want to be successful? Because I want people to see me in a particular way, or I think I want to be better than. But these are concepts that the mind conjures up so you can find yourself comparing with others, when really what we're pointing to here is that who we are, what I am, is no person, is the wholeness, if everything. And the dream is a distraction to that. The projections are a distraction to that. So because there's a part of us that is ready to awaken from this dream, so to speak, or become conscious of what it is, well, it doesn't matter how much willpower, which I don't have anyway, but it appears as if though, how much willpower I try to use to somehow become what I want to become or pursue what I want to pursue. Well, if I see others doing it, I guess I can do it too, That is their journey, not ours or not mine. So concepts of self-sabotage come up. Oh, that must be self-sabotage. You need to be consistent. And then life says you can be as consistent as you want. And if I don't want you to go in that direction, you're not going in that direction. I've seen it, working out, okay, I gotta be consistent. I got a friend of mine, he's very muscly and he works out all the time, and he says, you gotta be consistent. And then I'm trying to be consistent, 2 weeks I get sick. And then I try again to be consistent, and then I just drop off energy. What's going on there? See, I'm trying to be something in order to sustain an identity, and life is saying, you're not that identity. What you are really is the ever-present experiencing life itself, and you're trying to limit life to this little thing called you that now thinks that you have a body with certain muscles, is going to look in a particular way and all that kind of stuff. So once again, that was very frustrating for me, because I was trying to live the life that I thought everybody said I should live, or even the life that I thought I should live, when actually life was inviting me to liberate myself from all the mind and concepts, so I can actually experience the peace that passes all understanding, which is not very appealing to the mind that is always trying to pursue and go for whatever it thinks it wants. So what I found out is that the self-sabotage is a concept that the mind invents to make believe that you need to keep pushing, but in the end you cannot push if life doesn't want you to push. So when I was able to rest with that and start dropping all the concepts and the ideas of what I thought I wanted and what I thought it was important, and everything started to fall by the wayside, there was a relaxation. And then consequently I also noticed that when there's something I really want to do, it's not something that I personally want to do, it's an inspiration that comes through me, and life gives me all the energy that I need for that to take place. The important thing is that not make anything special of it or trying to add to it. Like when I was creating the music, while I'm recording it, I'm thinking, great, so I can make music, and then maybe I can put a band together, and maybe I can go and play and everything. Nope, that's not the way life led me. Doesn't mean that I can do that. That cannot happen in the future. That is completely irrelevant. All I know is that right now I am, and as I continue resting in what is, life is simply just surprises. That's all there is to it. And I don't have to worry or concern about this idea of self-sabotage, because in reality, it doesn't matter who do I hire to push me as much as he wants. If I don't want to, it's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you a story. Many years ago, again, in the ignorance of thinking that I wanted to be rich and all that kind of stuff, what happened is that I saw this ad on the, actually in the laundromat in the complex that I used to live in Miami, Florida. And it says, how to make $100,000 a year or something like that. And it was investment companies. So anyhow, so I called them up, and they were trying to recruit people. So I went there, and for a while I was just kind of like, you see they're pushing, and that's what you need to do, and you can get clients and all that kind of stuff. So anyhow, so I went for that. And it get to the point that I knew that I didn't want to do that anymore. And of course, the person in charge of this company would call me in the morning to make sure that I'm motivated, that I can do it, so that I can make phone calls and everything. And it got to the point that I just hang up, the phone. I just disconnected the phone. I didn't want to hear from that person anymore, you see. And it doesn't matter how much you want me to push to do it. And of course, somebody could say all sorts of psychological traps. Oh, that's self-sabotage. That means you don't want to be successful. It's a manipulation, you see. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with that that's not where life is leading me to. And here I am trying to control life according to a belief that I have. And at the time, I didn't understand. So it was very frustrating. To me, the things are no longer a distraction. Actually, another story. When I was, I told this before, but if you haven't heard it, I'll tell you again. Well, I'll tell you now. I like writing. It happens very natural. I don't sit down and write every day and whatever. What I mean is that when I get inspired to write, I notice how I enjoy the writing part of it. When I write books, they just flow. I don't control anything, but once they're written, I don't sit myself and write because I am a writer or I'm not a writer. This is just something that happens naturally through me. So I created this huge instructional booklet, not booklet, but it's a big book. It's called Big Money Made Easy. I'm talking back in many years ago, many moons ago. And I had all this information and I enjoyed it putting it together, because Big Money Made Easy was about different ways how to make money on the internet and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, those things do work for someone who's passionate about it, but all I know is that I was creating the thing and I knew exactly how to put it online so people can buy it, and if they buy it, they can have it downloaded, so I don't have to, it's the easy way, you see what I'm saying? So hopefully the book will take off and then millions of people online will buy it and I can become a millionaire and all that kind of stuff. So I wrote that, and I spent hours and days and weeks and months creating it, and I was so passionate. And a friend of mine that he was my roommate, he would pass by, he says, "Nick, get out of there, come on, there's a life happening out there." But I was very passionate about it, something that I don't know what to tell you. But again, the mind had the idea that hopefully if I sell millions of that, because I mean, you hear it all the time, if you get online and you put a website and then you got to do is, all this, people can buy it from there and you can become a millionaire. They don't tell you how many, all that it takes for you to develop that clientele and everything, but that's not the point. The point is that it was a book that I felt it was of service, people who have ideas of how to create a logo or a patent and everything. So technically speaking, it was a great informational book for someone who maybe that might be their calling. So anyhow, during that time, I also had this inspiration to start creating music, and that's when I bought the first studio in Orlando, Florida, which is a home studio. And well, as I feel the passion that it was driving me naturally to record the music, the mind begins to conjure up, okay, because it's as some people say, okay, if you can get this business, you can make a lot of money, so you can then do what you love to do. So anyhow, so the idea was that I can market that book online from 8 o'clock in the morning until 12 noon, so to speak, just giving myself some sort of a schedule. And then I can spend the rest of the time working on the music. You see, the inspiration. Well, this is where the joke comes in. I wake up in the morning, I start forcing myself to promote this, because again, that's what you have to do in order to hopefully make money off of it, so I can have time to do the music and everything. Well, I would sit on it, I would try to promote it, and I would look at the studio and I just see what am I doing? Literally, what am I doing? Long story short, that Big Money Made Easy went out the wayside, whatever, and I saw how life was driving me to music, and that's when I created the first CD, which is called No Rules at All. You can listen to all the tracks in my website, themusicoflove.com, or nickarandesmusic.com, but let's keep the musicoflove.com, so that's the one that I'm going to use for all the music. And check it out, that was the first one I did. It was in English, all the songs are in English, and you can listen to all the songs. I was me in the studio, I was playing all the instrument, just to see how life works through me. All the music and all the stuff that is coming up, lyrics and everything, I couldn't stop it. See, it's just the life unfolding through me. And then once that was done, that's when the mind goes, now you got to put a band together, now you got to start playing. And I didn't have the energy to play the music or do anything. That was the creative process that took place. And that's when the mind jumps into self-sabotage. You see, that's what happens. If you want to be successful as a musician, and the question that I ask is, and how do I know that life wants me or not to be a musician? The fact that I can create music doesn't mean that I'm destined to become a musician. It's just something that I can do. The fact that I can write books doesn't mean that I'm destined to become an author or a bestseller. That's just something I do. The fact that I'm doing these videos doesn't mean that I'm meant to become a YouTuber and a success in YouTube. No, this is just something I find myself doing. You see? But that is all happening through me. And the concept of self-sabotage doesn't enter my mind because I'm not trying to push anything. There's no need to push. Life taught me already that every time I push, it always collapses. And then what the mind says, you gotta pursue, persistent, to the point that even if you die, at least you can say, you know what, I died, but at least I give it all, you know. But that struggle, that doesn't even make any sense. That's suffering. Why don't better just be and see how when life inspires you to do something, you're going to give it all anyway, because that is life inspiration through you. It's not you who's doing it. You see, that's the point. That's what we're getting to here. So all I'm doing with the concept of self-sabotage or whatever, I'm just bringing up on these videos, not so that we make the illusion of a person real or anything. It's just we begin to dismantle all the things that, you know, all the thoughts that seems to cause suffering. Is very frustrating. I understand that. Everybody tells you this is what you should do, and your heart says, I can't, and then you feel that there's something wrong with you, and now you blame it to self-sabotage. So now you try to find some kind of help or someone to help you to push through. But, you know, pushing through, what's going to happen is that you're going to hit yourself against that wall over and over again until the time comes where you cannot do it anymore. See? And the thing about it is that if you're not ready for this, these words are going to be probably threats, and they're going to be insults to your intelligence, so to speak. And I don't mean you not intelligent. I'm saying of the concept that we've been taught, you see. So if someone who's not ready for this is going to crucify this video, is going to say, no, you got to push, you can do it, or whatever, and that's fine. I'm not here to argue with that. I'm simply suggesting that if you're tired of pushing, maybe there's another way. And life is using this instrument to remind you of that. I'm telling you about my own experience, and I pushed a lot in life. Well, I didn't push that much all the time because somehow life was leading me to be more into the path of least resistance. But I did belong of a self-help movement. I was part of a company. I worked with a company, very popular one, where they teach you all that kind of stuff. And I knew all these authors and speakers, and you know, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to mention the name of the company. That's not the point. I'm saying that I've been through all of that, and finally life led me to the realization that in the end only God's will is done. You see, that's what I'm pointing to. If you don't like the word God, let's say life will or love will. It's done. And when one can be at peace with that, it's not that one's become it's not a resignation. At the beginning, the mind sees as resignation, because my dreams are not come true. I cannot pursue what I want. So, oh well, you know. And some people may that in their life story, that's what they're supposed to do. But when you really see where this points to, the resignation comes. It turns into freedom. It turns into relaxation. It turns into real happiness. And my experience has taught me, again, I'm just talking about my experience, and if you feel it resonates, great. If you feel it doesn't, discard this video. But in my experience has taught me that in that space of relaxation, I don't become lazy, I become receptive. And the funny thing is that all the things that I like to do, if life wants me to continue doing them, I will continue doing them. When it's time to create more music, life will lead me in that direction. When it's time to write another book, if that's supposed to happen, life leads me in that direction. If it's time for me to go speak, life will move me in that direction. Whatever it is that I'm supposed to do that I enjoy, life moves me in that direction. The difference is that in between those spaces, I am relaxed. I can simply be, because I trust that life is taking care of life and I am life. You see? When you think you're a person, that's when all the concepts of self-sabotage and pursuing and whatever, because we look at others doing it and we think that's the way it is. But usually that's not the way it is necessarily. When we relax in what is, by not identified with the content of the mind, by not believing our thoughts, we are happy, we're peaceful. And we don't need to look around to compare ourselves with others because we're going to go crazy. No, we just simply be, and we can experience the peace within ourselves, and that's how you give yourself the opportunity to see how life is taking care of you, how life inspires you. And that which you love to do because it comes genuinely from you, you'll be led to express it. The only thing is that for a while something has to be cleaned up before you're ready to really express that joy in a very fruitful way. I think Abraham Maslow is the one who said this. He said that a music must create music, an artist or painter must paint, a writer must write if he ultimately wants to be at peace with himself. The way I would reinterpret that is that forget about everything, let it all go, just relax in the space that you are, relaxing what is, and that's it. And whatever you're meant to be, life will be using you as a way to express that with a mind that is not attached to anything. And again, the concept of self-sabotage doesn't even, it's just out the window. But the bottom line is that there's not, at least the way I see it, very respectful to whatever anybody else believes, self-sabotage is a concept that the mind invents to keep holding on to a false sense of identity, giving them false hopes. In the end, what's going to happen is life is unfolding as it's unfolding, and right now if you cannot be happy with what you are, with what you have, why do you think you're going to be happier or happy when you get something different? You see, the invitation here is just be right now, be happy with what you are, because you are. But it's not, I'm not talking to you as a person saying you be happy as what you are. What I'm saying is don't identify with the content of the mind. Don't believe your thoughts. If you don't believe your thinking, you're happy. And trust, if you're supposed to be a musician, you'll be a musician. If you're supposed to be a writer, you'll be a writer. If you're supposed to be a philosopher, you'll be a philosopher. If you're supposed to go to a monastery, you'll be happy in that monastery. If you're supposed to get married, you'll be married. If you're supposed to do whatever you're supposed to do, you will do it, but happily, because now what you do does not define you. What you are, who you are, is love. What you are is that which words cannot be described, and that is what these videos are pointing to. And all you need to do, there's nothing to do actually, is don't believe anything you think. And if you don't believe anything you think, you're happy. And see how life unfolds. And you will not have, because it's not a future thing, but you have right now, with that way of living, a wonderful and a happy and incredible life. And that's why I say you will have a wonderful life. But it's not because something wonderful will happen, it's because you can see, you can feel, you can experience, you are recognizing the wonderfulness, the beauty of this moment just as it is. And that, my friend, is what happiness is all about. Okay, well, this is the inspiration that came through this instrument. I hope it served, and as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can be extended.